Welcome to the Tom Bernard Podcast with the family with...
Co-host Catherine Brandt.
Andy Brandt Bernard.
And Kristen Bird.
We were just talking a lot of politics before the show started today. Kristen Bird, Entertainment News brought to you by North American Banking Company. Go to nabanco.com to learn more. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. And what's so funny about that is I didn't even kind of bring it up. Other people brought it up, but I did see this Keir Starmer. You know who Keir Starmer is?
I'm not happy.
Isn't he the British PM or something?
Yep, he is.
Yes, he is. He's the one that is, I don't know, not helping these girls from these rape gangs.
No,
I'm
he's
very
not.
upset with him.
But his big move today now, he's pushing really, really hard
Yeah, he did something really stupid lately.
to lower the voting age to 16.
Well, of course he did.
Nancy Pelosi was going for that, too.
Well, it's because it would fix elections forever.
Yes, it
And
was.
then there's some people trying to do it to 21. So
I think 35.
that's been a discussion in the U.S. too as well.
I think
Let's
you
go
should
with
have to be
35.
exactly 40 years old. If you weren't born such that you'll be 40 on an election year, too bad.
Well,
Tough hop.
the argument is if you're
only
old enough to
fair.
serve in the military, then you should be able to vote, which I
And get
agree
married
with.
and get married.
And get married, exactly.
I would not want to get married at 18.
No.
No, that would not have
Yeah,
been
I
good for me
was
either.
not in a good place to get married when I was 18.
yeah.
We have a couple things to address quick.
Okay.
A couple people joined the chat and had a couple of questions.
Okay.
Catherine in the chat. She wants us to put the date of the show on the new site. We are actually going to be changing the way this episodes get embedded pretty soon. So I'm not going to be making any changes at the moment, but everything about the embedding process is going to be changing. I don't actually know how that's going to pan out yet, but I will do what I can about that. I
Tom,
can't
do you
say
know what
too much
embedding
about it
means?
otherwise.
Yes, I know what embedding means. And I also know that we're taking the show over from the Hubbards. We run
Yes.
the show now. They don't. So it's going to change everything.
Yes, I've been doing a lot of stuff. Mark's on
Yep.
the chat wants to know how to get to the new site. The new site is the old site, tombernardpodcast.com.
There you go.
So just go there. That's the new site.
And Bernie finally talked me into it, calling it the Tom Bernard Show. I just wanted to call it the family because,
Well, you can't keep rebranding.
Well, I didn't the rebranding. Tom Bernard Show. There you go. That's good. That's good. But yeah,
Got to have your name in there. I think that's smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what he said. He said you get your name in there and everything works out really, really well. Watched the first few holes of the Masters just before the show. You into that at all, Kristen? I know Andy's not, but
I follow the lifestyle side of it, like the Paulina Gretzky and
no, do you?
yeah, like that kind
Okay.
of, because I watched Full Swing. So
Oh, Full Swing is great.
My
That's a
question
great
about
show.
that is, are the people that were in Full Swing, they had so much pressure to do better. There was the one guy who was really, really bad, and his caddy, they were on a plane, and he said, you got to get help, man, because he only made like $55,000,
Oh,
and
yeah.
he was going to lose his house or something.
Yeah.
oh gosh,
Yeah, and that golfer, because there was another one that was underperforming. His mother had died. Do you remember any of
right,
this?
yeah, yeah.
And
Yeah, I
he
mean,
went to
I'm on
a
season 3.
psychiatrist or psychologist, sports psychologist, and I've got
You got some
feedback.
echo.
Anyway,
I don't know.
It's gone.
anyway, and all of a sudden he was just golfing like crazy. So they were like, well, maybe there is something to this. Maybe you should get some sports psychology. So that's the last one we watched. And I remember him kind of whining that he had a baby and Netflix was, in his life, and he had a hard time concentrating and getting all this stuff done. It was just too much pressure. So now I want to see where this goes. And also, are the guys that were on the Netflix series, are they doing worse because of the pressure of the Netflix series, or are they doing better because of all the focus on them?
I think it depends on the golfer, to be honest. It depends on the person.
Yeah.
Some people can handle multiple streams of things coming at them, and other golfers have to be so mono-focused, and that's it. So, and you will see each season, some golfers are no longer followed, and then they bring in new ones.
Okay.
And it depends on some of their storylines and what's of interest to people and things like that. But the core characters stay through the 3 seasons so far.
Because Rory McIlroy, he was just a superstar. Everybody thought years and years ago that he was going to be the next Tiger Woods, and then all of a
Right.
sudden he just flatlined
For years,
for
too.
years and years. I don't know if he's won a major since.
He is
10
one of the
years.
front runners, I believe, in the Masters this week. So
Yeah,
Oh, is he?
yeah.
Okay.
yeah, he's
He
considered
is,
one of the
yeah.
front runners. And he's had a lot of drama behind the scenes. Like he and his wife split and he filed for divorce. And then all of a sudden they got back together. So he's had a lot going on as well.
Okay.
That'll happen, I would
Because he
imagine.
seems like a nice guy, but he was all tied up in that whole live stuff because he was
Yes.
being the spokesperson for PGA,
Right.
and he was really, really mad about the live stuff, especially when they decided to merge.
They merged and
They
screwed
merged,
so many
couldn't-
golfers.
I can't believe what they did.
God,
Yeah.
that screwed so many golfers over is just sad.
Yep.
Unfortunate. I want to ask one last question about golf, and I hope somebody can answer this for me. Why is it that I can go out and play golf one day and I get pars and bogeys, and then the next day I go out and I can't break 100?
Because it's a head game.
It is a head
Golf.
game, but it's like
State of
my
mind.
God, I hate
It
that.
is a head game.
I suppose, but I mean, honest to God, Catherine and I went out and played golf yesterday. I triple bogeyed every hole. It's like, what am I
No,
doing?
He just quits.
So I just quit. I'm like,
I'm like,
God.
I'm going to soldier on till I get a par.
You would think the golf swing, you just kind of do the golf swing, but that's not it. There are some days I can stay back beautifully, and other days I get way ahead of the ball, and I don't know why that is.
Because it's a game of, what do they say, a game of inches or something? I mean,
Something.
if your golf club is just a fraction of a centimeter
Well, that's
off,
true,
it just
yeah.
doesn't go right. I don't know why. It's all
Tom,
dumb.
like they said in High School Musical, get your head in the game.
Yep.
Get your head in the game.
Yep.
Oh, no, she's belting it out.
Yeah.
Now Michael Bryant's going to do that. He's going to start singing on the show, too. That's all.
Please
I
do.
doubt it. I
Yeah.
doubt it.
Not
You
happening.
don't think?
Nope.
Yeah, golf can be
Not happening.
very annoying. But
How's
what's been
that-
nice about watching Full Swing is you see these professional golfers just absolutely sucking sometimes. It's like,
Yeah.
yes, it's not just me.
How's that $10,000 putter doing?
It's not $10,000.
was $1,000.
It's well, actually, it was great, and then yesterday not so great.
Yeah, yesterday was a bad. Well, you hit the ball well, though. I didn't even hit the ball well. Catherine,
Well,
if
when
you-
I golf with you, I golf worse.
No, it's not true.
Yes, because you're like, you can't stand the sight of another golfer on the golf course, and you're all wound up all the time. So
I don't like people are not as polite on the golf course as they used to be. There used to be decorum on the golf course, and there was a certain style of behavior. That's long gone now. People are playing music on their cart and they're screaming and yelling. It's like there are other people out here, you dumb bastard. Don't you get it?
Like the movie theater. It's no different.
Well, I guess so. Yeah, now that's true. Talking back to the screen and all that now. I don't get it.
Or just sitting on TikTok in the movie theater.
So, yeah, that Andy and I, what was it? What did we go see again? Jumanji Part 2 or something?
I think it was the first one.
Yeah.
It
was the
was a
first
long
one?
time ago. Yeah.
We're sitting in these extra expensive seats because they move with
the butt shakers.
yeah, the ones that move with the film and all that stuff. Andy and I paid for them, and all of a sudden, 8 young girls come sit in the other seats, didn't pay for them, and all 8 of them were on their phones.
And
It was
now-
like, what are you doing?
And now that movie theater is torn down.
And now they tore it down. That's right. They tore
All
down
gone.
the movie theater.
All
Which
because
is
of those
unfortunate.
Yeah.
I said, tear it down or I'll burn it down. That's why
Oh.
they tore it down. No, that's not true.
No.
But in any case, so everything is going pretty smoothly, is it? I think.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff to watch on TV right now. So I know we haven't really talked television too much this week. So
Well, I'll tell you, Catherine and I can talk some 1923.
Finished
My
it finally.
God, was that good?
Yeah.
Was that good?
Oh,
That
phenomenal.
the last episode was, I mean, there was quite some implausible things in the storyline, but
What?
that's okay. It was great dramatic effect, and yeah, it was a good end.
the
apparently-
ratings for 1923 are up astronomically over
They
season
should
1.
be.
I
Oh,
heard
they
he's
should be.
working on a 1945?
44.
44, yeah.
1944 he's working on
Yeah.
now.
I wonder who's going to come back and who the baby, who, are they going to explain which child is Dutton in the future?
Oh, probably.
Probably.
gotta
And,
know.
here's my
I gotta
concern.
know.
I'm going to say this: learning a lesson from the Marvel universe. Does it get so complicated when you start interweaving all of these shows
Yeah.
that people are trying to
Yeah.
keep track? And that is the one thing I'm keeping my eye on with Taylor Sheridan, because people, especially if some of his shows wind up on the big screen, and then you go, which one do I need to watch and in what order? And that's, I really felt like what made the Marvel universe start to tank. And there is a risk with that with Taylor Sheridan.
Well, not just the Marvel universe. Melissa and I used to watch The Flash, the TV show, like crazy. We watched it from season 1 all the way up to season, I don't know what it was, 4 or 5 or something like that. And the reason we bailed is because we'd watch an episode and, you know, some stuff would happen. And then here comes the next episode. And all of a sudden it's like 3 people are dead and they're in another universe. And it's like, when the hell did that happen? So I had to look it up. And it turns out it all happened over on Supergirl or Arrow or whatever.
I was going to say Arrow, yeah.
You had to watch those shows to see what was going to happen on The Flash. And then you had to watch The Flash. And then something would happen on The Flash that would make something different on Arrow. So you have to go back to Arrow. And we were like, I'm not going to do this.
Too much commitment.
We just, apparently The Flash is still going. We had no idea because we dropped out because it's like, you'd have to watch every single piece of DC media that exists just to keep up with the story. And I don't think anyone wants to do that.
No,
well,
and it's hard.
Lots of people do it.
I was just going to say it's hard when they become standalone properties too, because you just can't go in as a viewer and go, I'm just going to watch this. You have to watch everything to get the full story.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. One thing about 1923, it got very, very personal to me because my mother was 3 years old in 1923 and she lived about 300 miles directly east of where all this was going on. Mm-hmm. And then her youngest brother was thrown off a building to his death. So a lot of things were involved in that movie that I kind of experienced myself, or at least my mother did. But yeah, all of a sudden it just dawned on me. 1923 seems like it was centuries ago.
Yeah.
No, my mother was 3 years old when that movie was taking place. Like I said, she lived in Long Prairie, Minnesota, directly east of where all that stuff was going on.
Well, I don't know how accurate it all was. It was Montana still in the West. Was it still that bleak and terrible? And
1923, was it even a state in 1923?
I don't know.
I think it was a state by then. I think.
Then was it statified or whatever? 1889. So yeah,
1889.
Yeah.
Yeah, got to do a good 44 years and everything was really good. Now, I will tell you what, though, that show was so incredibly well acted, well written, well done. It was just magnificent. And I did tear up at the end. I got to be honest with you. Little teardrops appeared in the eyes at the very end.
A little glimmer.
Sweet. A little glimmer. But yeah, I loved it. Taylor Sheridan, I don't know what the hell, where this guy came from, but my God, can he write? Man.
I like a lot of his stuff, but I don't like the way he writes a lot of women. It seems like it has to be the whore or the virtuous woman. Always.
It's not great with women.
No, it's always like, oh my God, really? Do we have to do this?
I don't know.
That's probably the biggest criticism for him too. If you read like think pieces about Taylor Sheridan, they're like, he just doesn't write women that great.
Well, Westerns, it seems like men are either murderers or lawmen.
Well, that's true.
Westerns, that's one reason I don't really like Westerns is because everyone seems kind of like cartoony.
Yeah.
There's not that many realistic people because they're all either, rootin' tootin' cowboys with a sarsaparilla or they're the local sheriff trying to catch the rootin' tootin' cowboys. It's like, I've seen this one before.
I would say that Harrison Ford is a marshal or something. What is he in this one? He's a marshal, He's wearing a sheriff's badge anyway, and he's blurring lines like crazy.
He's really good.
because somebody's after him. So.
Yep. Yeah. I thought it was absolutely terrific. The thing for me just went on beautifully, and I mean, like I said, it was very sad at the end when they delivered that little 3-pound baby. Wow!
Spoiler alert!
Oh my God, that thing!
If you wanted to watch it, oops.
Well, I didn't say where it was from and how it affected the show. I just said the baby was the size of a pop bottle. That's all I'm saying.
She was 6 months pregnant, so
holy God.
Babies that are gestating for 6 months make it almost all the time now, but back in those days, without incubators.
The age of viability back then was basically term.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're going to take a quick break of 2 minutes. Michael, do you want to lead into your own commercial?
Yeah, sure. How do you want me to lead?
Well, I'm just saying we're going to play your commercial and then Josh Arnold's commercial. So if you want to talk about your business first and then go to the commercial, that's not a bad idea.
Well, we're doing personal injury and criminal defense. We're doing a revamp of the website, so that's coming up. And just working away. Got trials coming up.
Good plug. We'll be right back after this word from Bradshaw and Bryant. From Bradshaw and Bryant, Michael Bryant. What's up, Allie?
Oh, not much. Doing my usual thing of telling people they shouldn't be texting and driving. In Minnesota, you can't have your phone in your hands. You can use, hands free, but you can't have your phone in your hand for whatever reason. And that's why they made the law the way they did, so that police officers could see a phone in your hand and you got no excuse for why you got it there.
Do people know that that's the law?
I hope so. I mean, they used to follow it, and then kind of COVID kind of made people forget. And now it's like a freewheeling world out there with cell phones.
Let's say you get pulled over because you do have a phone in your hand and you're not watching where you're going. You got to be in pretty big trouble then, I would guess.
Well, the first one's not as bad. It's the multiple ones, the problem. And once people start stacking them up, then they have a big problem. And then what we're doing in car accidents is we've started bringing motions for punitive damages, because I'm trying to use the civil law any way we can to stop this, because it needs to stop.
Whenever I'd had any problems in my life, who was that I called again? It was like an MB, something like that.
Bradshaw and Bryant.
Does thinking about retirement make you uncomfortable? Sometimes the anxiety for wondering if you saved enough can be overwhelming. But what if I told you that you could ease those tensions in just 48 minutes? My guy, Josh Arnold, Mr. Money Talk, can sit down with you and get you on the right track for your financial future. Josh has navigated it all when it comes to uncertain market and economic conditions, and he'll always provide straight talk. Never sugar-coated advice on how to reach the finish line with your retirement goals. Don't let your financial worries give you an ulcer or keep you from calling Josh right now. His 48-minute no-obligation consultation could be just what you need to feel better about your future. Call Josh today at 952-925-5608. Set up your free 48-minute no-obligation consultation. That's 952-925-5608. Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant, LLC Security Investment Advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments must involve risk. You know that. All comments and opinions of Josh Arnold do not constitute investment advice. I am a paid endorser.
Maybe you could reconsider all the love you missed since I've been gone.
And we are back. Andy, if you want to, you can bring in Chris Eggert as well if he's ready, because he's ready
He's
to
ready.
go. I figure,
Oh my gosh.
He's looming.
well, you don't have to come on. I just saw you
He's
standing
like,
there.
hello.
So if you want to come on, you're welcome.
Hi. I was just getting everything set up. So
Okay. We'll get back to you.
I can come on now, or I don't have to.
Okay, 10 minutes from now, we'll talk to you. Thanks a lot. We had one of those days yesterday, honest to God, and I did not see it coming.
Pardon me.
Two guys who know a lot. Have you ever worked with Vinny Tortorich, Kristen?
I did yesterday.
Well, you did yesterday, yes, but I mean, had you ever before?
Right.
Yeah, I finally got his name right. I kept calling him Totoro, but his name is Tortorich. But Vinny and Josh Arnold going after each other. Oh,
They
my
were talking for quite some time.
Oh boy.
What were they
boy,
going?
oh,
I need
boy.
to listen. What
Well,
happened?
so Vinny likes the idea of having everything brought to America. So the tariffs are a good thing because it means manufacturing is going to be brought to America.
Okay.
Josh says it could be a good thing, but he likes whatever, makes the stock market better, makes the finances better.
Right.
And right now it's very turbulent, so he's not a big fan of that.
And it
And
went on for
I
half
wish
an
it
hour.
had just been planned. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can't just rip off the Band-Aid. Like, we need to build a factory to bring
That's
it
not
back
how
here.
they do things these days. They rip the Band-Aid off for
That's true.
everything.
Oh, burn it down.
It's very, very true. So what's going to happen now? Kristen Bird Entertainment News brought to you by North American Banking Company. Go to nabanco.com and learn more. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. So we're going to count on Kristen and Mike Bryant to go after each other and slit each other's throats like yesterday.
I don't
Yeah.
think we will. I was like, I don't see that happening, to be
Oh
honest.
my God, they went at it.
Kristen, what kind of reviews is Mobland getting?
Ooh.
Kind of mixed reviews. I think that a lot of people, and Tom and Catherine, I think you both said this too, getting adjusted to the accents
Yeah.
in the show
Impossible.
has been, and I told the story about how they had, I'm talking Helen Mirren and Pierce Brosnan had personally, ahead of getting to set, going, we're going to do like a South of London accent. And then Pierce Brosnan gets to set and Guy Ritchie's like, no, you're going to do your Irish accent, and doesn't tell Helen Mirren. So then Pierce is then shooting with Helen. She's like, we're Irish now? She got super confused. And remember, both of them are like actors, like trained,
Yes.
had done their prep work. And
Right.
then all of a sudden, Pierce changing it on the fly, probably to Helen, was jarring. But that was the director's job to be like, hey, let's collectively get on the same page about the accent. And
What accent did Helen Mirren have in 1923? She had I thought it was Irish, maybe.
She had some kind of an accent. Yeah, English
Yeah.
maybe.
No, it wasn't English.
I don't know what it was, but
A
she's
hint of something.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
She is phenomenal. What a
She's
great actor.
so good. I looked up the numbers too because I wanted the premiere episode 146% up in ratings
Wow.
Really?
over the season 1. Pretty amazing.
Great, yeah.
Yeah.
Season 1 of what?
Of 1923.
Of 1923.
This
Yes,
is
they
the
were
first
way up
season of
there.
Mobland that we just saw with.
I
with still
lasted
in
10
it.
minutes.
Yeah.
10 minutes I lasted on Mobland because I couldn't understand a damn word they were saying.
Yeah,
I
I
would-
have to go through a couple episodes to
I
kind
would put closed caption on everything. I love closed
Yes.
caption. I would
Oh,
just put it
Bill
on
is the
everything.
same way, and I cannot stand it. And I'm always like, turn it off.
See, I love it.
We together.
I don't know. I think, and Mike, maybe you can chirp in on this, Mike and Andy, from a guy's perspective. American crime movies are phenomenal. The other ones from other countries are just not that good. It's, you know,
Oh, I don't know.
I
You
like Tom Hardy, the twin, the ones where he played the twins.
yeah, that's true. He's good. But,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry, but if a guy's talking to me in an Italian accent in America, I'm scared. But if a guy's doing this, I'll come over there and cut your head off. I'm like, it's not
Because
scary.
they're all
enough.
like gentlemen. But that might be psychologically the most scary person because you're like,
Yeah,
oh,
maybe.
he's handsome, he's well dressed. He won't
Yeah.
cut off my head.
I mean, Pinky Blinders was really good.
Yeah.
I didn't like that either.
You liked Pinky Blinders.
I did
That one-
not.
There were a couple episodes, or a
Pretty
couple
sure I
seasons you
remember
did.
the one
I
from
think he
Peaky
liked the
Blinders.
first
Half hour.
season.
Maybe the first season, yeah.
I feel like
First
you
half
watched the
hour.
first season.
The first half hour I liked, and then
Well,
I
once
don't.
again, it's with the accents. It's very hard.
Do you
Yeah,
also
for real.
think? Here's a question for everybody. Do you also think, because I am such a huge fan of The Godfather, that's the only thing I'll watch as far as crime is concerned?
That's your
Maybe.
standard. That's your gold
Oh
standard.
my
That's the
God,
problem.
that was a great movie. All three of them I thought were terrific.
You
Third
even
one
like
wasn't as
Godfather
good as the
3?
other. No, it was okay. The first two were terrific. Godfather 3 was good, but it's nowhere near as good as 1 and 2.
No.
Sophia
But
Coppola.
Yeah.
Yep.
I rewatched it. I rewatched it again recently, and Pacino's actually really good in Godfather 3. He does a good
is.
job.
He is. He's a good actor anyway.
We were in the elevator, and this pretty woman, I don't know how old she was, maybe 40. All of a sudden, her phone rings, and it's the theme to The Godfather.
Yeah, it was the theme to The Godfather.
I'm like,
That was
there
your
you go.
warning. Get off that elevator.
Get off the
I'm like, do we have not mobsters in our building?
Yeah, I mean,
It's Miami. Oh, you're not in Miami, but you're near Miami. You're Miami
Yeah, we're
adjacent.
close, yeah.
see, the trouble I have, I think, at my age, you had The Untouchables, one of the greatest series in the history of television, because it was based on reality, first of all. And you can't even find that anymore. I luckily found it on DVD or some damn thing. It's not on television anywhere, which is really odd, I think.
Really, not even like Pluto or Roku.
I couldn't
or-
find it. I looked
Tubi.
for it.
Yeah.
I looked for it and looked for it. Now, that was a couple of years ago, so maybe now it's on, but I don't know if it is or not.
Maybe.
But I
I
think
tell you,
Amer-
DVDs are going to make a comeback. Like owning,
I think so, yeah.
having
Yeah.
a DVD or like owning a library because buying
Yep.
it now from Amazon, they can just change their, terms of agreement, and all of a sudden
Mm-hmm.
it's not in your library anymore if it's digital. So
Yeah.
No, it's very true. Do you think that maybe I like American gangster movies because I grew up around American gangsters in North Minneapolis?
maybe
I
you're
mean,
a little
that might be why.
biased. You're a
I
little
might be
biased.
biased because that doesn't sound real. That guy sounds just like somebody from my old neighborhood. That maybe that is what it is.
Well, I just was thinking it's when I go watch a movie about New England, if I don't hear a genuine Boston accent, I'm out.
Yeah,
It
yep.
takes you out. And
Yep.
so could be like just things like that. You want the authentic, what you know from your childhood.
I know I've told Michael Bryant and everybody else, but I don't think I ever told you the first time I ever went to my friend. I won't say his name. He's a nice Italian boy. Went to St. Joseph's with me. I went to his house. His grandfather's living with him. Moved from Italy to America. And I walk in and he's listening to Tony Bennett, right? And my mother adored Tony Bennett. Thought he was the greatest of all time. And I walk in. And I'm trying to fit in my best. I've never met the guy in my whole life. I'm maybe 10 years old, 9 or 10 years old. And he's playing Tony Bennett. So I said, "Oh, Mr. I won't say the last name, Mr. So-and-so, you're listening to Tony Bennett." He goes, "What?" I said, "You're listening to Tony Bennett." He goes, "In this house, it's Antonio de Benedetto. You got it?" Okay, you're right. Sorry.
What do they do with the album covers?
What are you going to do with the album
So
covers?
offensive.
And the
Did you-
nicest man.
Oh,
Nicest
one of the
man.
greatest guys. Catherine and I saw him just before he died out at, was it Mystic Lake?
Yeah.
And we
Yep,
were about
Mystic
10
Lake.
feet from him the whole damn time. My God, what
I
an
know,
honor
and
that was.
he was. I mean, he did a great
90.
job.
He was
He
90.
was in
90.
Wow.
strong voice all the way up until the end. I mean, if you go and watch his
Yep.
Radio City concert with Lady
Oh.
Gaga,
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
stunning,
He was
stunning.
96.
96 years old. God, see, that proves there is a God.
That's
Antonio de Benedetto lived to be 96
Well,
years
and
old.
he-
Alzheimer's, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I think
he
you're right.
stood the entire time
Yeah, he did.
and danced around. I was like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I could do that now. He's 90.
real.
Wonderful.
I'd be like, I'm one song, and I'd be like, I just want to like
Can I
sit
have
in
a
the
chair?
floor.
Chair
But
and a
just-
fan? I need a fan.
Magnificent. Great entertainment, no question about it. Is there anything like that coming our way now, Kristen?
In terms of like a Tony Bennett,
Yeah, an actor that, is there anybody like Tony Bennett even left anymore? A singer, actor? I mean, Frank Sinatra was a singer and an actor.
I would
Dean
say
Martin.
Michael Bublé is
Yeah.
probably the
He's
embodiment
phenomenal.
of what we. Yeah, he's great. He's great.
Justin Timberlake is really talented.
He is. There's
He
no
is
question.
talented.
He's
Yep.
got to stay out of trouble though. He cannot.
Yeah, well.
He can't make it 1 year without like having some type of controversy.
That's
whether
true.
it's his marriage or DUI or anything else like that, because it clouds over the talent that he does have.
I will tell you one thing that ruined me for Michael Bublé, though, because I think he's a phenomenal singer. We've seen him many, many times in concert. Last time I went to see him, he's singing his songs, about 3 songs, and he goes, "I'd like to take a moment, ladies and gentlemen, welcome my dear, dear friend, Louis Nanny." Louis Nanny, the hockey player from the Minnesota North Stars back in the day. And then he starts talking to Louis from the stage. I'm like, oh, my God.
I think the way that they met was Louis had gone to one of his concerts in St. Paul.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if they came out or before the concert, and Michael Bublé was hitting a puck with a stick in like an alley.
Right.
And Louis like, "Hey, how you doing?" He's like, "Lou, Nanny, you're a hero." So they became friends after that.
And Louis told him, of course, "Hey, you're doing that wrong." That's Louis Nanny deal. No matter what you're doing it wrong. There's no question
Right.
about it. But honest to God, I will say this, because I know you only got a couple of minutes left, Kristen, but I am so happy to see that entertainment is holding this high standard, because to me, that 1923 was a very high standard. It was really, really good.
He has been raving about that.
Oh,
since
God, it was
yesterday.
Well, I mean, you have Harrison Ford, you've got Helen Mirren.
Yep.
I mean,
Yep.
gosh,
Who's the
there-
guy? Who's the guy who had the baby with the woman who died? Whoops, I probably ruined that for a few people. Sorry about that.
Wow, you better.
Thomas spoiled the whole.
Yeah,
I just
title
spoiled
this
the whole
episode.
thing.
Spoiler alert. Tom can't keep his mouth shut. Oh, you would be like the worst film and movie critic, or they would be like, there's an embargo, and you'd get on the show and you'd be like, so they all died. Oh, my embargo is still 3 more days away.
3 more days. I gotta shut up.
I remember doing that at a restaurant once a long time ago. It was The Perfect Storm. So when did that come out? 2000. So I was 13 years old.
George Clooney.
Yeah, we were at dinner somewhere. I don't remember where. This was a very long time ago. But we were talking about The Perfect Storm. I think we had just seen it and we went out to dinner. And we were talking about it. And our waitress was like, "Yeah, I haven't seen that one yet." And I'm like, "It wasn't a bad movie. I just did they have to kill off everyone?"
Whoops. Yeah, that's
Based
Matt
on a
Damon.
true story, Andy.
Yep.
There was no happy ending there.
Oh, that's right near where I grew up in Gloucester, Mass.
Yep.
oh yeah.
That was Matt Damon also, wasn't it?
Love
Was
Matt
Matt
Damon.
or was it Mark Wahlberg?
Oh, maybe it was Wahlberg. Yep, that may be true.
Was
I get those two
Wahlberg.
mixed up all the
Yeah.
time.
Wahlberg. But if anyone is going to Boston, going up that whole sort of coastline, like Salem, Marblehead, Gloucester,
Phenomenal.
gorgeous.
Phenomenal.
Gorgeous.
The city of Boston itself is magnificent. I hate saying that to two people from the area, Michael Bryant and
Very
Kristen
pretty
Burt.
city.
But Boston's one of my favorite places. I've only been there once in my life. It's still one of my favorite places I've ever
Tom,
been.
you need to go back in the fall and go
I
for. I understand that Minnesota has gorgeous falls, but New England is extra special.
And I'm telling you, lobster tastes a lot different in Boston than it does
just
shipped
fresh. They
everywhere
just
else.
plucked them out of the
fresh.
water.
Yeah.
It's on your
God,
plate.
it's good.
Well, we
Indiana
had
someday.
we had that most what's his name, deadliest catch, the captain on. So
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, yep.
and he has said that the only way you're going to get fresh crab is by killing the crab and eating it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Once it's on the boat, they freeze it immediately.
Yeah.
You
Yeah, they
cannot
do.
Yeah,
get
they have to.
cannot get fresh crab because it starts spoiling
It's
like
too. Yeah, it's
within
very
minutes.
perishable.
So
Oh,
that's
no.
why some places, especially the fancier places, will have those live lobster and crab tanks, so you can actually experience fresh lobster and crab.
Yep.
I want to watch the murder.
The murder.
Of a lobster?
A
We used to
murder
cook
of a
lobsters all the
lobster.
time at our house. Everyone in New England, you own a lobster pot. I'm sure Mike, you
Yep.
probably grew up with
I
one.
still got one here.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'm sure I've never brought this up before, and I know that Kristen has to go right now, but I still think, should I have taken a hint 45 years ago when I took Catherine out to the Capitol Records Tower while I was working, and she ordered a 10-pound
Oh,
lobster?
let's get over this
I know.
story
Catherine doesn't want to
already.
relive this story. She does
Didn't
not.
mean to.
Should I have taken the sign that she was going to be a spendy kind of person to live with?
I do like a lobster.
Kristen, is there any talk, much talk at all about the Netflix Red Sox series?
You know, I haven't heard much, at least out here.
Okay. Because Jared Duran admitted he tried to commit suicide a couple of years ago.
Oh, God.
And so in Boston, it's had a huge impact on people. They're like, oh, wow, the guy really was dealing with a lot of stuff.
Yeah, you know, I think Netflix does a really good job with the sports documentaries. So it's definitely going to be one that I'm going to be catching. I'm in the middle of Bad Influence, the dark side of kid influencing,
Yep.
about Piper Raquel. Woo! I know two of the kids actually that were in the squad. These are kids that are now, you know, becoming super famous on TikTok and things like that, and overworking them. And there's regulations here in Los Angeles if you're a kid working on set, but there haven't been regulations up until January 1st now in California for kids working on the internet, and these parents making tons of money, putting them in bikinis and leotards.
Oh,
And think you know
gross.
exactly what avenue I'm walking down with that. That's
Yeah.
terrible. Utah just passed a law because the Mormon culture, big in the
yeah.
kid influencing space. And so states are very slow to catch on, but they are just starting. But a lot of the kid influencer or families are moving to Tennessee because there's no regulations there, because they don't want to deal with the
Yeah.
California regulations, because it forces you to get a Coogan account. It forces you to obey child labor laws, which should be adhered to.
Yes, they should be.
Yeah.
All right, you got to close it. You have to do me a favor, though, because I was just thinking about this. I brought this up to a couple of friends of mine, and they said, yeah, kind of the same situation. You know, Andy, Michael Bryant, myself. And I want to have your husband on one day for about 5 minutes if he's ever around.
He's always around. He's in the other
Because,
room right now.
because we agreed, I talked to a couple of friends of mine,
Lucy.
that every time I watch a TV show or a movie, I look at the women and go, Catherine's better looking than that woman.
Oh, for heaven's
And I found out, well, Michael, do you do that?
Sure,
Andy?
absolutely.
See, I bet you your husband does that. Chris is like, well, she's a pretty woman, but not as pretty as my wife.
I'm sure he does that every day.
There
That's all
you
he
go.
ever thinks about.
I know. It's all the only thing that's running through his head.
We'll talk to you tomorrow. Thank you.
Yeah,
See you all
Kristen.
tomorrow. Bye, Mike.
Bye.
Kristen Bird Entertainment News brought to you by North American Banking Company. Go to nabanco.com to learn more. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. But that is true. Honest to God, Catherine. Well, you knew I did that anyway, didn't you?
I do now.
I do now. All right, we'll take a break. We'll be right back in a couple of minutes. Chris Eggert, Channel 5 News, will join us right after this. Michael, you're going to be on for another segment, aren't you?
I will.
Excellent. We'll be right back. Why should your business bank banking company? Here's Austin Bartz of Bartz Lawn and Landscape and Bartz Snow Sculptures.
I started banking with North American, I think 3.5 years ago. All the people know me by name. I know them by name. It's fun to come into the bank and actually talk to somebody you know. So I made the switch and I'm very happy. It's Best bank I've ever been at.
So why not bank where I bank? With my friends at North American Banking Company. To learn more about North American Banking Company, go to nabankco.com. That's nabankco.com, or do what I do and stop by any one of their 6 Twin Cities locations. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender. Ladies and gentlemen, join us for the 67th annual GSTA Rod and Custom I said spectacular. Presented by Brainerd International Raceway. Every time I think of Brainerd International Raceway, I think of Paul Newman. Because he used to go up there and race every year. Paul Newman was a great guy. So anyway, it's presented by Brainerd International Raceway. Saturday, April 12th, 9 a.m. to 8 p.m., just a couple of days away. And Sunday, April 13th, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. This year's show shifts into high gear at its new location, Canterbury Park Expo Center in Shakopee, Minnesota. Get ready for more horsepower than Canterbury Park has ever seen at Minnesota's oldest indoor motorized extravaganza. Known as the unofficial kickoff to the car show season, this event is a must-see for enthusiasts, families, and anyone who loves incredible rods, customs, and classics. And, of course, free parking helps. Adults are $18, children ages 6 to 16 are $7, and kids under 6 get in for free. For tickets and more information, just visit gstarodcustom.com.
Have you ever seen a swan steers? Well, look at mine.
Ladies and gentlemen, today's show and Chris Eggert brought to you by Mr. Money Talk, Josh Arnold. Call Josh today for your free 48-minute evaluation at 952-925-5608. You should have been in on a conversation, man, because you could have joined us and said, my wife's better looking than anybody on television.
I enjoyed that. I haven't watched Mobland yet, but I'm catching up on this one. But Mayor of Kingstown is so freaking good. It is so good.
Doesn't it make you want to have 10 tequila shots, though? It's just so
It's a lot.
depressing. It's
You're
so
right,
depressing.
Catherine. It's a lot. And I'm like, just when you think it can't get more dark, I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But
I
stuff.
started getting depressed after a while watching that show. I was like,
it's not an upbeat show. That's for sure.
I had to get my head in the space to watch it because you get invested in all the characters, and I just kept on going. Why does anyone live here? Why does anyone live here? Why wouldn't you just move away?
And Mike, you're the legal expert. Is that real? Is any of that portrayal of jail? I mean, I'm sure there's some truth to it, right?
Well, that's prison. So there's a lot of, it depends on the prison. Some of those prisons, particularly the ones out of country, are even worse. But there's places in the United States that are pretty bad. And they try to reform them all the time. So there's a number of lines of truth that are kind of combined together in that. But there's no such town like that town, So, not at least in the United States.
Yeah. Just even the shots, it's always gray and grimy and just depressing. It's it wouldn't last 10 minutes, and that's
Some of that stuff is pretty accurate, though, because Catherine will tell you, and Alex used to go out with us, that we had a family friend that was sentenced to prison, so we'd go and visit him in prison every weekend. I know it's hard to believe a guy from North Minneapolis knows somebody who's in prison, but every time I went out there, one of the inmates, as I was walking by, had to push the chair back so I couldn't get by, and I have to pat him on the back of the chair and go, just move it in. I'm going home and you're not.
Yeah.
Well, what are you going to do, start a fight? No.
Well, this was a minimum security at this place, and it was,
at that point,
it was
security,
actually the only thing I ever saw was a prisoner was putting his lunch tray. He was on top of a thing, and another one bashed it so it went all over the place.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh yeah. So I was like, no Mayor of Kingstown violence going on, but still being a
No, that's true.
I interviewed somebody on death row in Nebraska a long time ago. That was pretty. And then went back in for a different story where there was another dude who'd been a killer and was like a known. That's pretty scary when you're sort of that deep into it. And I was, and Mayor of Kingstown has solidified it. I'm very certain I never want to be in prison.
No, you don't.
That's why I have your cell phone number, Michael.
Yeah. I was in the troublemaker section of Stillwater. I had to get a check signed, and that was a lot like Silence of the Lambs. They were real small cells, and people are staring at you as they're sitting there sideways. And then the jail in Little Falls, the conference room used to be in the middle of the jail. So you'd go meet with people, and you'd have you could see all the jail cells all around you, and that was a little freaky. So,
that does happen.
A panopticon?
One of my favorite prison stories of all time is a couple of guys I went to high school with at North High School got in an argument, and one guy killed the other one, right? And they brought up the murder charge on him, and then they said, "Look, I admit I killed him, but I didn't mean to kill him." So they dropped it down to manslaughter, and I remember so he did 10 years in prison, right? Next time I see the guy, he just got out of prison like a couple of days earlier. He was in there for 10 years. What was he doing? Riding his bike down Plymouth Avenue totally naked. Jesus.
Hey, why not?
What do you do? What is wrong with
Like, I'm
you?
free.
Man, he's been. He was probably in the need of something that he couldn't get when he was in prison. I'll put it.
Well, you think that's what it was? And when I get out of here, I'm going to ride my bike, and the seat's going to be right up my butt. Yeah, that's great. Wonderful.
Yeah.
I will never. Prisoners do, and Mike, you probably understand this, and Chris, you've been around it enough too. Catherine, visiting those people, the prisoners they don't think like we do. They just don't.
No.
and also with our technology, for guys who go in for 5 or 10 years, the complete world changes while they're gone.
Oh yeah.
Imagine showing up now and seeing AI or seeing cell phones the way they get used now. It's crazy, and that's why a lot of them just do something right away to get right back in, because they're like, I don't like whatever's out here.
No, it's absolutely true.
That always reminds me of Shawshank Redemption, which I think is like one of the greatest movies of all time. When, what's the guy's name? Brooks, the old guy who gets out at the very end.
Oh,
and he
yeah.
goes and he bags groceries and he tries to integrate back in society. He ends up killing himself because he didn't even know how to operate on the outside. I love prison stuff. I don't know.
You would think that they would debrief them somehow.
But it would be hard to debrief somebody for what the changes. It would. It's crazy.
It is indeed true. Boy, looking back. You know what's so funny about that? Every time I talk about that, and you guys probably went through some high school stuff that, brings you back, but just bringing that guy up, I just thought of about 5 other guys that went to prison, and, that stuff just never leaves your brain because you know them, and they go, my God, he went to prison? He's dead? He got thrown off a bridge? Whatever. It's like, it's a very, very weird feeling. But most people don't go through that, do they?
It depends.
I was
depends where you grew up.
back. I was back in South Dakota. Hell, this was probably 10, 15 years ago. And I got off the beaten path to go to a casino because I was feeling lucky, and I thought I'd throw a couple of dollars into a machine. And this guy was walking across the parking lot. He looks over at me and he's like, Eggert? And I'm like, I'm not going to say his name. I'm like, hey, what are you doing? And I'm like, what's been going on with you? And he's like, oh, I just got out of the state pen. I was like, oh, well, that explains why I haven't seen you in a while.
That explains it. Oh, God. Did you ever go to a welcome home party for a prisoner? Those are fun.
No.
I will tell you this. Welcome home parties for prisoners have more alcohol than any other party I've ever been to. See, Michael Bryant would agree. They have booze everywhere because they can't have it while they're in prison.
Yeah, because they make such great decisions.
Well, they can't. Not supposed to.
Yeah, they can't have good booze in prison.
Right.
It's like toilet wine.
Bathtub gin.
That toilet whiskey.
Toilet.
To drink something you fermented in a prison toilet.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I would never be
There
that
is no
desperate.
substance on this planet that I would drink out of a prison toilet.
No, that's true.
Even
That's
I
absolutely
take
true.
thyroid medication to live, and if all of my thyroid medication went into a prison toilet, I'd be like, well, I had a good run.
Yeah.
Look at Andy take a stand.
I don't need it that bad.
That's very, very true. No question. So, Chris, we were talking about some TV shows that have been on recently that are just television. My God, it's so good. it gets weird. You know, we're talking about the end of 1923 and all the rest of it. Is there anything that I mean, you're around television all day long, every day of your life.
Yeah.
Do you watch as much television as most people do, or you just get sick of it?
Unfortunately, I look off the corner of my eye right now. The news is on. I consume more, and I try to make myself turn that off, which I think is healthy. And I say to my parents and I like anybody who will listen, you can't just sit and stare at that all day. It gives you an unrealistic impression of what's actually going on in the world if all you're hearing is this drumbeat of death and destruction and markets dropping and everything. So I usually been trying to carve out 1 hour a day where I'll watch. It happens to be Mayor of Kingstown right now. Before that, it was Landman. I think you guys all watched Landman.
Yeah,
Right?
Landman was really good. Yeah.
Great show.
I never watch like true crime or any of that because like that. I don't know, Michael. You might be the same way. It's like most of what I'm talking about most of the time. Like I don't want true crime. I don't want to go revisit this XYZ thing that was in the news because I don't know. I guess that's my little break from reality. So I don't watch as much as I should. Somebody just told me that did you guys watch that John Goodman where he was the preacher and
the glorious
Righteous
Gemstones. Yep.
Somebody told me season 4 just started of that, which I think is hilarious.
It's hilarious.
This year's not so great, in my opinion.
That sucks.
The outfits are phenomenal.
The outfits are phenomenal, but it's clearly the last year they're doing it, so they're just being psychotic.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
And I really like. We've been watching my wife and I together, and we never watch any shows because my hours are so weird. We're watching White Lotus right now, so I'm 2 episodes away from the finale, so I'm not there yet.
I didn't watch that. Alex watched that.
I watched 1 episode and the guy whipped out his schwanz and I never watched it again.
It's a lot.
No, it's a lot. There's no doubt about it. Like, okay, great.
What's it about even?
I think there's a lot of shock value in that, in some of those storylines there for sure.
Yeah, Catherine's right. What's it about?
It's set at 3 different episodes, and they're set at the White Lotus Hotel.
Oh, okay.
So you guys remember, Andy, you wouldn't remember this, but back in the day, the movie or the show Hotel that was on, and Barbara Streisand's husband and Connie Selica, and there was always like some kind of drama going on at the hotel on any given week. Or any given episode. I think it's a little bit like that. It's just more modernized and a lot more edgy. And I don't know. I really enjoy it, but I definitely know it's not for everybody.
Okay.
Well, they're allowed to do a lot more than the hotel did. It was there's nothing left in the imagination in that one.
Oh.
Yeah, that's true. Hotel was on the network, and that was they weren't doing anything risque there, but
no schwanzes there, Tom.
No.
Maybe you'd like that show.
No wieners whipping out. Glad to hear it. No question. I didn't really even notice this, and then Catherine brought it up. It's like, so Tom, you gonna watch any television that came out in the last 50 years?
Yeah.
Because everything I watch is in black and white. Alfred Hitchcock.
Or is about old time stuff.
Or is about old time stuff.
1923.
Yeah. Well, that's right. Exactly.
Yeah.
But, I watch Beyond Belief is in color. Those 4 seasons. That's in color. I like that show. That
You
guy
like
does a
Full
good job.
Swing?
Oh, Full Swing's great. You guys watch Full Swing? The golf show?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Man, what do you think of it, Mike?
That's been good.
It's good. I liked it. Yeah, you guys said it was good. I watched it. Yeah, it's good. And they Golf Channel did one like that about 15 years ago. That was really good. And they're doing better stuff now, which is just what they're able to do with technology.
Chris, do you golf?
like twice a summer.
Well, that's it. Because you're built like a golfer. You're tall and lean. I mean, that's good for golf.
My parents, who were my stepdad is a basketball coach, like diehard, one of the most winning in state history. We were always a basketball family, but when I was a kid, they tried to get me to learn how to golf from this golf pro who lived a couple houses down from us.
Okay.
And I took like 3 lessons from him, and I was like, not so much. I think I was a little too uncoordinated. So I never really and I don't like sucking at things, so I don't like doing it. If I do it now, it's a charity thing, and I basically like just go out there and have beer all day. That's my.
Well, that's not all bad. The reason I kind of brought that up is I watched a little bit of the Masters this morning before I came on the show, and I don't think I'm going to be able to watch it because it pisses me off way too much. When very, very calm, not a lot of wind today. There's a little tiny breeze, but it's just not that big a deal. All right, let's go back to the hole. 180 yards. He has an 8-iron. Like, you son of a bitch. An 8-iron for 180 yards. Oh,
Yeah,
my God.
It's crazy to see how good those guys are. And
Yes.
I love the Masters too. I don't know. Is there something, you hear the birds chirping? I don't know.
Yeah.
Are they
Yep.
using real bird chirps now, or is that?
It's just that beautiful in spring there. It just is.
And you can see the whole 18 now, which is the greatest thing.
Yep.
You know, you used to only be allowed to watch the last 7 holes or the last 6 holes. Yep.
One of Passolt's brothers had a great story. He came back from when he was in Florida. He drove back the whole way, and he said, "Hey, I went by Augusta." We said, "Really, man? That is it cool? Can you see it from the road?" He goes, "No, that was kind of weird." So I made up a story and I drove up the driveway to Augusta. And as I got there, I just leaned out the window while still moving in the car going, I'm not going to mess around. I'm just going in. I just want to buy a shirt. That's the only reason I'm here to buy a shirt. And the guy goes, "Turn around right now." I guess you can't get near that joint if you're not with a member.
Nope.
And the lottery for tickets and all that whole bit.
Yep.
We did it a couple years ago, and I had zero interest of going, but some of our friends were like, asked us to put our names in to win the lot. We didn't, but anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a friend that was a member there, but when I met him, I was, I think, 40, and he was like 90. So I was never invited to go out to Augusta, unfortunately. Well, I still know a couple of guys. There are a couple of guys from Minnesota that are members of Augusta.
There are?
Yeah. Yeah, most definitely.
One of my former colleagues, a sports guy that I worked with down in Orlando, he's in Atlanta now. And so he covers the Masters, and he's usually down there like the whole time. Well, they do like a media play day, I think one of the days before, and he's got a kid who golfs, and every year he posts a picture of him and his kid. Just golfed Augusta, and I'm just like,
Oh, God.
Well, a lot of people, when they go down with a member, they play twice. Like you play and then you go have a lunch. And apparently in the lunchroom, you can order anything you want. You just they have no menu. You just tell them what you want and they make it for you.
Jeez, that's
Yeah,
pretty
and
good.
then you go out and play it a second time.
wow.
Is it? I've never even been near it. Is it as spectacular as it looks on television?
I gotta believe it is. I've never, but I played the Robert Trent Jones courses down there, and the TV cannot capture the up and down parts of that course because you can't.
Yeah, true.
You got to see it, but it's amazing the way the terrain changes.
I just, like I said, I'll be watching the whole thing. I love watching the Masters, no question. I got to be honest with you, I do miss Tiger Woods. I love that whole Tiger Woods era. That was a magnificent era.
He had a lot of magic when he was playing.
He did. There's no question about it.
How does he do that?
All right,
Well,
so
he
I-
played that course.
So there's no confirmation that they use fake bird noises, but there is a confirmation that what they do is they will take a parabolic microphone and point it at trees that are full of birds. So the bird noises sound extra loud and frequent.
I'm certain they do that. They probably got several mics set up around the course.
They actually they mic up the trees, so all the birds chirping get caught extra loud.
That makes sense.
I had an interesting golf experience yesterday. I hit my ball. A crow went and took it.
Second year in a row.
Wow.
Dude, yeah, I'm like, that bird just took my ball.
2 years in a row, she's had a crow steal her ball and fly up into a tree.
So when we stopped and I went into the clubhouse, I'm like, do I get a free shirt? Do I get what's the penalty for a crow taking your ball? What's going on? And they said you just get a birdie on that.
Yeah, you get a birdie on that.
But then I said, do you find them? Because I remember there used to be a bunch of crows at Brookview. I think it was in St. Louis Park there.
Yep.
and they would steal
Watches.
rings, whatever they could, and they would go into the nests every year and
Yep.
get it all down and try to get it back to the people that claimed it. And he said, no, they don't really, we've never found any nests around here, but what happens is if we have to trim a tree, like a palm tree or something, or cut one down, when they whack it with a saw, all of a sudden all these balls come down. They just put them up there. I don't know.
Put them up. One thing about it too, yesterday and in the last year when it happened too, both times the crow turned around and looked back at
I
her.
swear to God, they're stealing it on purpose.
Well, they're crazy smart. Like they're
They
like
are,
some
yeah.
of the. I'm sure they get pissed off if they put all that work into collecting all those things and then they come out and clear their nests out. They're vindictive, man. They're mad.
God, it's wonderful.
Oh, it's been proven that crows will hold a grudge.
Yeah.
It's something that they don't like. They'll remember.
It is.
and not bother you.
It's a whole thing. I went down, Andy. I went down the rabbit hole on that a couple years ago because we had a group of crows, a murder. I think that's what they're called.
Murder
right?
crows, yeah, it is.
That would hang out right back over here, and I was fascinated by them, and I'd sit there and watch them. And one of them died a couple years ago, and the rest of them stayed around for a while, like they were mourning them. But none of them have been back ever since then, and that's been like 3 or 4 years.
Really?
It's fascinating to me. Yeah.
I remember on Dayton River Road, right up there going on to 101,
Yeah.
you could see on the river there was like a condo association of crows' nests. It was huge.
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
It was something else. We got to take. How long can you stay with us, Chris? You
I
gotta
got
go.
about another 10, 15 minutes.
Okay, Michael, you in the same boat?
I'm same boat.
All right,
I'm
we'll take a
leaving
very.
in 4.
Well, that's right. You're leaving. Well,
Well,
she
I'll
is.
just leave now then, if you're going into
We're
break.
going to. You just
Bye,
bail
Catherine.
now.
Bye, Catherine.
Bye.
Bye.
You think it might have worked out that way? What if a crow grabbed the blouse you're picking up?
Well, then I would be screaming.
You'd be screaming. Michael, going back into Bradshaw and Bryant. Any new words about Bradshaw and Bryant in the first hour?
Well, we did with the commercials 2 days ago. We got a new B-roll coming. So we're going to have, with that commercial, we're actually going to have video coming out.
Oh, you are going to?
Something to
When?
look forward to.
Andy, you're in charge of that.
It'll just be a super low angle shot of Mike Bryant walking around his house.
That's it. That's the whole deal. All right, we'll be right back right after this. For Bradshaw and Bryant, Michael Bryant. Michael, what's up?
Dealing with another case where a person gave a statement to the adjuster because they thought the person was really friendly.
Is that a good idea?
Well, the problem is they know the law when they call you up. And while you're trying to be fair and you're trying to get help, the reality is there are questions you get asked that the way you answer them make a big difference. And people put themselves in trouble. And when they aren't in trouble, they didn't do anything wrong, but suddenly the adjuster's got a statement that can blow up their case completely.
What has caused people to be so untrustworthy, I guess is the best way I could put it? They take advantage.
Well, insurance companies have hired adjusters whose job it is to deal with unrepresented people. So they're supposed to kind of lure them in, call them every day, see how they're doing. And people are like, oh, I'm doing pretty good. Where the reality is they've kind of adjusted to their problem that they've got going on. So it's not that they're completely better, but the way they say it gets to be a problem. And that's why having somebody who can explain your rights, represent you, make sure that you understand the law before you give a statement can make a big difference in your case.
Michael Bryant, Bradshaw and Bryant. Why should your business bank with North American Banking Company? Here's Austin Bartz of Bartz Lawn and Landscape and Bartz Snow Sculptures.
I started banking with North American, I think, 3.5 years ago. All the people know me by name. I know them by name. It's fun to come into the bank and actually talk to somebody you know. So I made the switch and I'm very happy. It's the best bank I've ever been at.
So why not bank where I bank? With my friends at North American Banking Company. To learn more about North American Banking Company, go to nabankco.com. That's nabankco.com, or do what I do and stop by any one of their 6 Twin Cities locations. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Today's show brought to you by Mr. Money Talk, Josh Arnold. Call Josh today for your free 48-minute evaluation at 952-925-5608. All right, I've watched so far every single Twins game this year. They did win last night. What was it, 4-0?
4-0, right?
Yeah, 4-0 last night. They got to do something about that team, though. That team is not very good.
Nope.
I mean, what are we going to do? That's Kansas City's not a great team either.
No, Kansas City's going to win the division, though.
You
They
think
got
so?
one of the best players in the American League. So It'll be okay.
The one thing I have noticed, and I've been watching baseball since I guess the Twins started when I was 9 years old. Been watching baseball ever since. The length that a man can throw a baseball now, holy God! I mean, they could go out in the parking lot and throw it to the catcher from 3 blocks away. Honest to God, their arms. Well, it's like hitting an 8-iron on a 180-yard hole.
Right.
These guys now. What happened to the development of muscle that much better than it used to be?
I just think there's so much, and I know this because I've got athletes in the house.
Yeah.
The emphasis on strength training
Yes.
year round is
Yep.
so much different than it used to be. It used to be you had your season, and baseball players were never really thought of as being in that great a shape.
Right.
You got like your Babe Ruth walking up there with a cigar in his mouth and
Yep, it's
playing the
true.
games drunk, and all that
Yep.
sort of what the. I just think the fitness level on all the sports is so much faster because they've got these kids doing strength stuff when they're starting to be like in their early teens.
Well, it's their lives. It's literally they're like born and bred to play these games, which is was unthinkable even probably 50 years ago.
For sure. And my youngest is going to graduate from high school this year. Much to my dismay, she's decided not to play basketball in college, but going to the
really?
gym for her every day and getting that workout in is like essential. And they're just a lot more fitness based. That's got to be part of the reason, Tom, why they're able to throw as far as they are.
No
and
question.
they're as fast and jump and run. And
They've also been able to clean things up through video and AI work where like they can make people faster just with technique, or they can get them to do certain things.
true, yeah.
That's just a cleaner way to throw. Like, I mean, when you look at hockey, the slap shot's gone. Everything's a huge wrist shot from the point, and you just see these changes that were all brought about by video and computer work.
What's amazing about that for me, because one of the reasons I asked you was a very personal thing, because I was a weightlifter my entire life until about 7-8 years ago, something like that. And then about 7 years ago, I started getting this feeling around the queue that I wasn't going to be around much longer. They tried to hide it, but I knew that they're going to blow the thing up. So I hadn't lifted weights. I've not lifted weights in about 7 years now. And I have to hit a club or 2 more for lengths I used to hit. I mean, when you lose that muscle structure, I think you're right. Strength training has a lot to do with it because, back in the day, I would use a pitching wedge to hit it 140. I now most often have to hit an 8-iron to do that. 2 more clubs, just, my God.
Well, and when you were lifting, you were probably just lifting for strength or for bulk, because that's kind of what most people really sort of lift for. But now they're so good at isolating what it is that they want. If you're a football player, then they want to really push this. If you're a baseball player, like they're so good at it, and they can measure it in a way they couldn't before, and they're graphing it. And my kid was going into something about, I don't even know what the hell he was saying. He told me for like 20 minutes about something that they were doing in the weight room, and he did really well with it, and he was happy about it. I don't even know what he said. He was explaining. I was like, okay, well, that's cool, man. I wish I understood what you were talking about. But
Now, honest to God, I did go through a period about 20 years ago when I was lifting weights and working out a lot with professional wrestlers.
I
Hawk
remember
and
you
Animal,
saying that.
all that stuff. And they go, "Hey, you want to go play golf?" Because they talk like that out of the ring too. It's like, "Hey, Tommy, it's me." I'm like, "Okay, yeah."
Of course.
So you'd go and, okay, you got a hole, number 2 is 150-yard par 3. So I'd go 150 yards, I'll grab a 7-iron, because probably should have hit a 6, but I go with a 7-iron just so I didn't look like a complete fool. These guys are hitting mid-wedges you wouldn't believe it, how far they could hit a golf ball because of they're all dead now, unfortunately, because that's the other side of it. Every one of the guys that I used to play golf with who were professional wrestlers, every one of them's dead now. I think Greg Gagne might be the only one who isn't, and he never did steroids.
Hey.
Well, that I know of. How about that? How
He was
about
in there.
putting it
He
that
was
way?
in there a long time to make that claim, but who knows?
One of the great stories of all time when I used to lift weights with Joe from the from Hawk and Animal. Joe was Animal. And I'm in the gym out there in Plymouth, the gym in Plymouth. It's not there anymore, I don't think. Maybe it still is, but I don't think it is. So I'm standing there one time, and this guy comes up, and as I'm walking in the door, he goes, Tommy, I knew you were coming today. I'm so excited. I just want to tell you, I finally did it. I finally reached my goal. Today I benched 300 pounds. Now, the average person couldn't come close to benching 300 pounds. They just couldn't. No way. So that was a hell of a feat, right?
Yeah.
I said, man, that is great. He goes, is Joe coming today? And I said, yeah. As a matter of fact, I was just talking to him in the parking lot, so he'll be in a couple of minutes. We're going to start working out and blah, blah, blah. Just then, here he comes. And they always walk like this because their bodies don't work all that great, striding along. He comes up, and the guy goes, Joe, I was just telling Tom I'm so excited about this, and I heard you guys were coming today. I told Tom, and Tom's excited for me. Joe, for the first time today, I benched 300 pounds. And Joe pauses, looks at him, and goes, ooh.
I remember this one time as a kid, we had, I don't know who it was, some gigantic wrestler over. And you guys were like going out to dinner or something.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, he sits down to tie his shoes, and he's like, Tom, can you tie my shoes for me? He couldn't bend down to tie his shoes.
Yeah, that was Animal. I mean, excuse me, that was Hawk.
Was that Hawk? Yeah.
That was Hawk. Yeah.
His muscles were so large that he couldn't physically touch his own feet from a sitting position.
Oh, there's no question about it.
I was like, that's a little weird at that point, I think.
You know, those stories are very, very sad now when you talk about him because he lived at that time. He and Eleanor Mondale were together, and now they're both dead. I mean, it's just a lot of really sad stories there. Eleanor I didn't know her really, really well. I never got to know her all that well, even though she lived with Hawk and all the rest of it. But she always seemed like such a nice, soft-spoken, nice person. But I don't know what the hell. Her father hated my guts. I know that, so that maybe that's got a little tinge to it too. But I don't know. I just that whole thing. Every single one of the professional wrestlers that I used to lift weights with is dead. All of them. Mm-hmm. Do not do steroids, boys and girls. They are not good for you, and they will kill you.
Oh yeah, it's part of Tiger Woods' problems,
Yeah, so, that's right.
Michael Jordan's never had the kind of injuries that came with it, but it's.
Do you think he did steroids?
Well, yeah, that's why he could practice every day. I mean, it was part of.
True.
He had the same doctor in Canada that was dealing with him. So
yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, but it gives him the ability to work all the time, and that's the how much time you need to recover.
I remember the first time I ever saw a woman who did a lot of steroids, and I peed a little. I was like, oh my God, I don't want to piss her off. It's like, man, it's a whole different situation. We got one more break coming up. You guys want to, Chris? You probably want to close out your segment right here, I would imagine.
Yeah, I probably better roll. I got a kid coming home in a little bit, and you don't need to be here when the teenage daughter comes running into this room and rattling everything around.
What's she, about 6'4"?
No, she's average size. She's 5'9".
Well, 5. Yeah, that's
that's pretty tall for a girl.
It is still pretty tall for a girl.
Well, it was average on our basketball team this year.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's true, no question. All right, we will talk to you next week, Chris.
Take care, Chris.
Sounds good. Good to see you guys.
Thanks a lot. Chris Egger, Channel 5, Eyewitness News, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back in just a couple of seconds. Michael Bryant and Andy and I will close it out right after this. Does thinking about retirement make you uncomfortable? Sometimes the anxiety for wondering if you've saved enough can be overwhelming. But what if I told you that you could ease those tensions in just 48 minutes? My guy, Josh Arnold, Mr. Money Talk, can sit down with you and get you on the right track for your financial future. Josh has navigated it all when it comes to uncertain market and economic conditions, and he'll always provide straight talk. Never sugar-coated advice on how to reach the finish line with your retirement goals. Don't let your financial worries give you an ulcer or keep you from calling Josh right now. His 48-minute no-obligation consultation could be just what you need to feel better about your future. Call Josh today at 952-925-5608. Set up your free 48-minute no-obligation consultation. That's 952-925-5608. Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant, LLC Security Investment Advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments must involve risk. You know that. All comments and opinions of Josh Arnold's do not constitute investment advice. I am a paid endorser. Ladies and gentlemen, today's show brought to you by Mr. Money Talk, Josh Arnold. Call Josh today for your free 48-minute evaluation at 952-925-5608. We only got a couple of minutes left of the show, so I do have to mention something that hit me pretty hard yesterday. I received a message yesterday from Jay Philpott, who used to work at KQRS with me back in the day. He's in another market now, but Jay was always a very, very nice guy. Got a message from him yesterday, a legendary disc jockey at KQRS, a guy named Hal Hoover, grooving with the Hoove. Hal Hoover died yesterday, and I was really sorry to hear that. I mean, it's not like Hal and I were great friends or all the rest of it, but he had a different delivery, very laid-back guy off the air, and he was at KQ back in the underground days when it was an underground station before it became classic rock. But Hal was always a very pleasant guy, had his own way of going about life and all the rest of it. He was, I believe he had just turned 74 years old, which is still, in this day and age, that's pretty young to be dying, isn't it?
Yep.
I think the average American male now lives to be about, 78, something like that?
Something like that.
Somewhere in there. And that's, including guys who drink and smoke and do all kinds of stuff.
That's including a lot of guys who die very young.
But I just wanted to mention Hal Hoover. He would grooving with the Hoove. He would come
Was that his real name?
Hal Hoover was his real name, yeah.
Okay.
Well, as far as I know, I'm assuming it was because that's the only name I ever knew him by, and nobody ever told me any different, so I'm assuming Hal Hoover was his Harold Hoover. What do you think of that?
Yep, I remember the name.
Oh, yeah, he was something. That staff, as a matter of fact, looking back, Tack Hammer's dead now. Tack was the...
Tack Hammer.
Zach Hammer was the program director at that station. Again, this is back in the underground days of KQRS before oh my God, did we catch a lot of heat for turning an underground station into a classic rock station. Oh, God, people were pissed off at us. But they're pissed off again, I guess, because it's, I don't know, what is the format now? It's not classic rock anymore. It's something else.
It's the next generation of classic rock. So it's like rock. 90s or yeah. But they still will occasionally play the old stuff. So,
once in a while they do?
Yeah, that's the word, or that's what they said in the article. I have not listened to them since the day you left.
That's so weird that everybody tells me. I don't know, maybe it's just because it's me or whatever, but they had a 0 share.
Yeah, it's not good.
We had a 40 share, the highest rated morning show in America. It's more than just a few years ago now because I've been gone from there for, I've gone 3 years almost already.
Yep. That would be
years ago.
Yep.
God.
I got a new case from a person who met me at your contract signing party that you did at what was that? It was in Minneapolis somewhere, and it must have been. I mean, this would have been a heck of a long time ago.
Was that Mace-Lax?
No, we didn't do it at Mace-Lax. It was the first time I ever met you. Well, I met you at the Byerly's that time, but officially met you. And it was it might have been at the Irish bar in Minneapolis.
Okay.
Yeah, Kieran's. Might have been at Kieran's.
Oh, Kieran. I loved Kieran's.
Yeah, but a guy met me there, and he had something happen. He gave me a call from that. I'm like, wow, that's cool. So
there you go. So pick up a little business.
Oh, yeah.
No question about it. Well, my times change and all the rest of it. And I got to be honest with you, even though I'm not in radio anymore and I haven't been in radio in 3 years and all the rest of it, it does make me sad that it is fading away. Little by little, radio is going away and podcasting is taking over the business. It just, I don't know. I suppose in cars it still does pretty well, doesn't it, radio? I would think.
I think that's pretty much where all radio is listened to at this point.
So that's where it is now. Yeah, I
maybe
can't
like
even tell.
Work sites. I don't know. It depends. Like construction sites, especially, they're always playing music, but a lot of the time it's like Spotify.
Mm-hmm.
I do remember one time last year, I think it was, we were listening to, I think it might have been Cool 108. So we're listening to Cool 108 in the car. We get out of the car, we go into the grocery store, and the track continues to play because they were also playing Cool 108 in the grocery store. It was very weird. I was like, of course, it's still going in here.
There
Following
you.
you.
That's how it should be.
Before
No
we go, I
question
want
about
to
it.
show how Mike has his phone oriented right now in portrait mode.
Okay.
The way that the icons that I see as an administrator in StreamYard doesn't handle the portrait mode cropping very well. So I want to show everyone what I was seeing during the break.
Okay. Mike talking through his ass.
That great shot right
Off
there.
the top of his head, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
All right, boys. We'll have a magnificent day. Actually, tomorrow it's going to be interesting because I'll do the show tomorrow, and after the show's over tomorrow, Kath and I are going up to Disney World for 2 days.
Nice. Just you
Just for
two.
Yeah, we haven't been there in a couple of years,
Wow.
so that's.
Yeah, I suppose it has been a while. Have you not been there since we were there? No.
I think that might be right.
Wow.
What,
that was
how many
a
years
lot.
what
ago was
ride
that?
are you most looking forward to?
Actually, 2 years ago. Yeah, we were there. That was 2 years ago or 3 years ago now, Andy.
Yeah, well, we
It
were
was
there
2 years
4
ago.
years ago. So.
Oh, you were there for it. So, it was Alex's family that was there 2 years ago.
Yep.
And that means that Sage was 4 years old. And we got on the lightning train, I think it's called, or something like that. Very fast moving train.
You mean Big Thunder Mountain?
Big Thunder Mountain. Yes, that's exactly what it is. It takes off and the thing's on its side. I mean, it's just moving along at high speed. And the car's on its side. It's not straight up.
yeah.
It's on its side.
I saw the video of this, yeah.
That little 4-year-old Sage goes, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, he
I
was
will
like,
never-
Jesus Christ.
It
That was
unbelievable.
Is that where Harry Potter world is?
Harry
Nice.
Potter is at Universal.
That's
Universal,
Universal. Yeah.
okay.
We're
But it's
going there.
also-
We're going there Sunday.
There's going to be a new Harry Potter world over at Epic something or other. I don't know. I
Epic
can't remember the
Mountain or
name of
whatever it is.
It's like Universal Epic or something like that. But they're adding that in May. So there's going to be 2 Harry Potter worlds. There's going to be the Diagon Alley, and then there's going to be the Ministry of Magic.
Still
Wow.
love going there. Look, when I used to work for Disney back in the because KQRS was owned by Disney for about 20, 25 years.
Well, my entire childhood.
Yeah, your entire childhood was it.
So-
So we get to go at all this free stuff and all the rest of it, and they constantly send this and that and the other. And you were on the trip where we went back behind stage and all those shows, right?
I don't think so.
Oh, you weren't on that one. But yeah, working for Disney and then going to Disney is quite the thing because they treat you like you're God. It's amazing.
I've still got my 1 share of Disney stock that they gave me when I was a kid, I think.
There you go.
It's up 5,000%
Nice.
Glad to hear that.
in
That's good.
38 years. So actually, that's not that great.
even today?
Yeah, it's well, I mean, back then it was worth like $2. So.
How is the market doing today?
Well, let's see.
It
Disney
was
stock.
way up
Oh,
yesterday, I know.
Well,
Yes, the Dow went up like 3,000 points yesterday.
Yeah, it
No,
was.
yeah, well, it went back to where it was, but you know,
Yeah, pretty much. Disney stock, well, I mean, they had a peak of 191 in 2021. Is now 84.
Yeah.
So
that'll
they've been
happen.
doing pretty badly the past few years.
So basically, wasn't that Democrat president at the time when it dropped off like that? I figure as long as Mike's going to get political, we may as well tell the whole truth.
Yeah, political. I just asked,
Yes, you did.
I asked how I was doing today. That's all.
You liar. I can
We
see
have, a
the
401k at Bradshaw and Bryant. I'd like to see him make some money when I die.
Yeah,
you know?
you got that right. That's
According
nothing
to
wrong
Tire
with
Carver,
that.
there's actually 3 Harry Potter lands.
Oh, there are now?
There's the third one, Epic Universe. There's the one over at Universal Studios. Where's the third one? Oh, I'm guessing California, probably. Over in fake Disneyland.
So we'll close with this. I can never be mean to Tire Carver again because I found out his son is now 7'2".
Wow.
Jesus.
That's a
I
lot
wouldn't
of
want to
kid.
tangle with that
But-
kid.
It must be time for the ice cream truck to start rolling, huh?
Oh, I would
soon.
think that, yes, the Tire Carver ice cream truck. They better get that thing rolling the end of April by the latest.
we just sat on our patio for like 3 hours yesterday.
Oh, magnificent.
Yeah, because it was 60. I actually had to like walk into the shade because I was getting hot.
Oh, see?
Your dad's sitting down there going, ooh.
I know.
Ooh.
When I was down here, I was sweltering the entire time. It was like 75 degrees. And I was like, oh my God, this is so hot.
All right, boys, have a magnificent day. One more show before the weekend tomorrow.
Take care.
You
Bye.
too. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Got a picture in my pocket reminds me of this was before. Every time I hear the sing, reminds me how you talking